Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host Ainsley Brown, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about what are zones. Are zones just a fiscal incentive package, or are they a developmental tool? Now, the answer to this has fundamental impacts because it will shape how your zones are designed in terms of the zone regime, how it is designed. If it's simply viewed as a fiscal package, then it will determine who you seek to attract or who's attracted to you, and so forth. Additionally, well, before I go any further, I should always, and as I always do this, zones. What exactly are we talking about? We're talking about a geographic space, as they say, a delimited area. A box, let's say, right? A box in which different rules apply versus the rest of the economy. Special incentives are put in place to attract investments. Certain rules around trade are different compared to the rest of the economy, etc., etc. And it doesn't matter if you call them a free zone, free trade zone, export processing zone, enterprise area, whatever you want to call it. The basic definition I'm given, it's in essence the same thing. Now, when it comes to whether or not it's just a fiscal incentive, amongst other things, it shapes who you attract and who's attracted to you. In many ways, it can shape the success of your zone. Is it meeting the market demand? Is it meeting market needs? An example I like to use is the U.S. For example, the U.S. has its zone program, and they basically only offer one fiscal incentive, which is a postponement of duties. So you bring in your raw materials, and you don't pay any duty on them as long as it remains in the zone. When you try to sell the whatever product you've manufactured or held in it for distribution, held in the zone for distribution, when it hits that border into the U.S., that's when duties then become applicable at that time. Now, using that example, they basically just only rely on that. They, however, rely on a set of fiscal incentives or non-fiscal incentives. That is to say, they'll use their infrastructure, location, proximity to a large market, which is the U.S. itself, or sub areas, the Eastern Seaboard, or certain states like California with huge population centers, etc. They leverage these as the real incentives, the rule of law, the access to commercial courts, to banking, and etc., etc., etc. These are the pillars, basically, of what would attract people to use their system of zones to access their markets and other markets as well. Now, they're not just a fiscal package, of course. Granted, they only offer one fiscal incentive. They're a tool. On both sides. On the enterprise side, in terms of what can be done to aid your business, using that postponed model of postponement of the duties, and then also from a government standpoint, it fosters more business. So and with it more development and jobs. So in my view, zone regime is both a fiscal package and a developmental tool, and the two have to travel together. You can't divorce the two. If you divorce one and just consider it a fiscal package, then in a sense it's no longer a zone, because then you're free to travel and go wherever you please with that fiscal package. And there are regimes, not zone regimes, but regimes that are like that, and that's fine, and governments are free to set up those packages as they see fit. But when you're talking about a zone, it it has that developmental function as well, especially in the context of a developing state, or as they now call it, the global south. There is, and zones are not exclusive, of course, using a US example, exclusive to developing countries. I've seen zones proliferate all over the world, over 7,000 of them now all over the world, in both developing, global south, and in developed countries. So you can't divorce the two. The two are inextricably linked. That it is both a fiscal incentive and a developmental tool. And a developmental tool is not just on the side of the government. It also is how your business, or how businesses use that. So yeah, they may not be there to quote unquote develop a person's country. They're there to operate their business, but in operating their business, for them it's a knock-on effect. For the government, it's a central effect, right? But by using it as a tool, as I gave the example of the US, it then using that, or leveraging that one fiscal incentive, much less if you look at other countries that we may offer lower corporate income tax, tax credits, etc., to incentivize someone to come. Those incentives have a purpose. So it's not just here fiscal incentive. The fiscal incentive is designed for a purpose, not just to attract folks, but to attract the right folks and assist them in doing their business. So there's a certain mutuality there, right? So it's very important. The two have to remain together. If you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular topic, just leave me a comment down below and I'll get right back to you. Bye for now.